world of the WWE is already a fairly crazy place. I think that's a fair statement considering there's a guy that made a Hall of Fame career out of pretending to be dead for over 20 years, a woman gave birth to a giant hand, and we had a 12-year-old kid win a prestigious title at WrestleMania. So yeah, the WWE is a fairly crazy, wacky, kooky place. Yet for some reason, it gets wilder, crazier, and kookier, and somehow more dumb whenever they go to Saudi Arabia. Now granted, in recent memory, Saudi Arabian shows have gotten significantly better because you can tell that the WWE has been booking these shows themselves. But there was a previous era in Saudi Arabian PLEs where the Saudi Arabian government made decisions as to who shows up and who wins and what decisions are made on these shows, which led to some of the most bonkers decisions I've ever seen in the WWE. Look, for Crown Jewel 2018, the Saudi Arabian government asked for the Ultimate Warrior to make an appearance. He had been dead for years up until this point. They had no business making decisions. You know, the WWE isn't guilt-free of making terrible decisions either, but dude, the decisions that were made on some of these Saudi shows were just so bad. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at 10 bad, terrible, the worst booking decisions that happened at Saudi Arabian premium live events. Hey, as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications if you're a wrestling fan. I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we upload, say with me, daily wrestling content. Yeah. And one more time, I'd like to invite you over to twitch.tv/SantiZap, where we're going to be watching Crown Jewel 2023 together as a community, but we also watch Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and everything in between together as a community. So if you're looking for wrestling friends to watch wrestling with, come on over to twitch.tv/SantiZap. The link is in the description of this video. So are all my other socials. Go follow them. I'm active everywhere. I know I usually only say this for the hot takes, but let's look at some stupid shit. Look, I promise you that they're gonna get significantly worse than this, but we're gonna start off with Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman for the vacant WWE Universal Championship at 2018's Crown Jewel. Something that would go on to become synonymous with Saudi Arabian premium live events is that championship matches, for some weird reason, were only ever like 2 to 5 minutes long. They never got any proper screen time, and usually one of the biggest culprits of this was Brock Lesnar, where for some reason he would just travel to Saudi Arabia, do a couple of F5s, go home, and that's it. That was his paycheck. But none of us expected this to happen against Braun Strowman, who was ultra uber popular at this time, and honestly we thought that he was for sure going to be winning the WWE Universal Championship because at the previous Saudi show, the Greatest Royal Rumble, he had won the Greatest Royal Rumble. So we figured, hey, he won the Greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi, why not then bookend it with him winning a major WWE Championship in Saudi Arabia as well? Psych, because they just fed him to Brock Lesnar, and that's going to be a common trend in this video. People getting fed to Brock Lesnar, but this one especially hurt because it was the perfect time to finally pull the trigger on the ultra popular Braun Strowman. Like I said, like from a story perspective, like if you wanted to make the Saudi shows matter from show to show, this one totally made sense. Braun Strowman was over in Saudi Arabia. He was over with the classic, you know, Western WWE fan, and it was a vacant championship. It was perfect. You didn't have to have Brock Lesnar lose his precious championship because for some reason the WWE just never wanted Brock to ever lose a championship. So it was perfect. It was a championship that no one had. He was super popular. Brock Lesnar didn't need it. And for some reason, not only did Brock Lesnar win, he would go on to win in like 4 minutes in classic Saudi Arabian Brock Lesnar fashion. Next, I have the WWE World Cup. Next, we have the WWE World Cup tournament at Crown Jewel. Look, on paper, it's a cool gimmick. It's a tournament that was gonna have no major consequences on the greater WWE television. So why not have a star-studded tournament for a championship? Why not? It was a harmless championship, at least so we thought. Because look at this field. It's got Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, who was originally John Cena. We had Kurt Angle, Dolph Ziggler, Jeff Hardy, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton. The field is absolutely stacked. And who would go on to win out of these legendary WWE superstars? Who would become the best in the world? Shane McMahon. Look, the final was Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. At some point during the match, The Miz got injured. So for some reason, Shane McMahon's like, oh, I'm unofficial. Restart the match and I'm in it. I'm in it this time. And he would not only go on to join the match, but then would go on to win the match and proclaim himself the best in the world, even though he only participated in the tournament for a total of like 2 minutes because he didn't have any other matches in the tournament. It was stupid. And look, if it was just a ripple in time that was just kept to the vacuum of Crown Jewel Saudi Arabia, it would have been fine. But this monkey would go on to proclaim himself the best in the world for months on Friday Night SmackDown Live. It was awful. It was terrible. Look, I actually don't know who booked this, but you could just tell. You know, if you give somebody this information on paper, you could just tell that Shane McMahon booked himself to win this thing. It was dumb, ludicrous, ridiculous, and it was one of the worst, most asinine decisions I've ever seen in anything related to professional wrestling. Next, I have what many consider to be the worst match of the decade in DX, Triple H and Shawn Michaels taking on the Brothers of Destruction in Kane and The Undertaker. I mean, it's a crazy good match in 2006, maybe, because this match had two part-time, basically retired wrestlers in The Undertaker and Triple H. We had a part-time retired politician in Kane and somebody who had been fully retired for the better part of a decade in Shawn Michaels. This was destined to be bad. And look, I'm okay with if you want to pull out the checkbook and bring these guys back for a quick showing and a quick match, fine, whatever, sure. It hurts me inside that you ended Shawn Michaels' career for this terrible match, but if you're going to do this, if you're going to do these with these guys that just don't have it anymore, that have just not been doing it in the ring for enough time to really be able to put together a good match, then at the very least make this like a 3-minute match. Out of all of the insane 2-3-minute matches that have happened in Saudi Arabia, this should have been one of them. It was 33 fucking minutes for some reason. Oh my God, dude. Like, honestly, this might be one of the worst matches I've ever seen. And look, they have all the excuses in the world for this having been a terrible match. But look, I just completely fault the WWE for making this 30 plus minutes and for making this the main event. It's just, oh my God, it is so tone deaf to make this such a giant marquee match. I get it. The names are there, but this had no business being more than 5 minutes. I mean, you made The Undertaker versus John Cena like 3 minutes. You could have done the same thing here and we would have, okay, cool. Nostalgia pops. Everyone got their entrance. Okay, yay. But no, it was 33 minutes of one of the most sluggish, most drawn out, most botch filled matches of all time. And it didn't help that Triple H got seriously injured like early on into the match. This match is a metric butt ton of ass juice and I never want to see this ever again. Looky-loo, another Brock Lesnar squash match that had no reason being this short at a Saudi Arabian show for a major WWE championship. That's right, kiddos, we're talking about Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet, which, yeah, okay, I totally get Brock Lesnar winning this. In fact, I totally understand Brock Lesnar coming out as the dominant beast in this, but why would you make them fly out all the way to Saudi Arabia, have long, drawn-out, beautiful WrestleMania-like entrances for a 1 minute and 30-second match? And I would say 45 of those seconds is just Brock Lesnar doing his little Brock Lesnar dance in the ring. Look, I'm not a difficult guy to please. I get it. In no world should Ricochet have won this, but we have seen Brock Lesnar have excellent matches with guys of the body type of Ricochet. Look at his match with AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Daniel Bryan. Look at earlier on in his career with the Hardys. He has had excellent matches with these smaller, high-flying guys that could sell their ass off for Brock Lesnar. So we were frankly robbed of what could have been a really good match. And by the way, they were telling a pretty decent story heading into this match. But just imagine, you know, subscribing to the WWE Network because Ricochet's your favorite of all time and you want to finally see him get a WWE Championship match only to be greeted with a 1:30 match. Hell, picture paying the super crazy high prices for those Saudi shows, going there, Ricochet's your favorite, and then boom, murdered in a 1.5 minutes. I was not okay with this. So I'm starting to notice that one of the common trends across across a lot of these terrible Saudi decisions is that Brock Lesnar just eats and mauls everyone. And you know what? This was at a fairly recent Saudi Arabian show where they started to get better. This was Elimination Chamber 2022. This is not a terrible show from head to toe like many of the other Saudi shows were. And even this match wasn't bad. It was the way that they decided to book the ending that is terrible. Look at this star-studded field. We have WWE champion Bobby Lashley, legends of the business, first ballot Hall of Famers in Seth Rollins and AJ Styles, in two major up-and-coming main eventers at the time in Riddle as well as Austin Theory. You essentially have your entire Monday Night Raw main event men's scene right here. This is it. And Bobby Lashley went in as the champion, a very dominant champion who got injured before he could even enter the match, so he didn't get to enter the match, and they still went on with the match, and he lost his championship without even being part of the match. And Brock Lesnar would get to go in last after all other four men were already in the ring, and he would pin all of them. Every single one of the men that you see on screen here, Brock Lesnar pinned to win the WWE Championship, just so that we could go set up the biggest WrestleMania main event of all time between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns for both championships. But it's not okay to bury your entire men's main event scene for the sake of putting over Brock Lesnar as a beast who was already seen as a beast. You didn't need to do this to them. Look, at the very least, we got this awesome moment of Brock Lesnar F5ing poor Austin Theory off the top of the pod. This is a thing of beauty. This is beautiful, I will say. Next up, we have Brock Lesnar again versus Kane Velasquez. F***ing hell. Why do they make these decisions? This is terrible. Look, okay, it's normal for Brock Lesnar to have a WWE Championship match at these Saudi shows. We have seen from this list. And yes, this was another 2-minute squash. But why in the world is he having a major marquee match for the WWE Championship against Kane Velasquez, who has never stepped foot in a WWE ring? He's never had a WWE match. He's never cut a WWE promo, and he's getting a WWE Championship opportunity in his first match. Why? And look, I'm gonna try and forgive this decision, the decision to have a 2-minute WWE Championship match against a guy that has never been in a WWE ring. But they did all of this by sacrificing poor Kofi Kingston and literally murdering the dreams and hopes that were built on the back of Kofi Mania. Look, I get it. Kofi Kingston was starting to have a stale WWE Championship run, but you had Brock Lesnar beat him in 5 seconds for the sake of having this metric ass ton of butt juice match. Like, why? Look, at least I expected this to suck balls. This was Braun Strowman versus Tyson Fury in a WWE match. And this happened on the same show, by the way, as the Kane Velasquez and Brock Lesnar match. So for some reason, the WWE was just hell bent on having these combat sport athletes go into the WWE with no experience. I was about to say little to no experience. No, not little, just no experience whatsoever. And yeah, the match was as bad as you're probably imagining it, because neither guy really did anything for one another. Tyson Fury doesn't know how to wrestle. Braun Strowman is not particularly the AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan type that could carry a cinder block to a 5-star match. And yeah, it just ended up being a booty match. But again, at least we expected it to be bad. So, you know, I should be a little bit nicer to this, because at least Tyson Fury is a cool megastar, whatever, outside of professional wrestling guy. But no, you know what? I'm done forgiving this. This sucked. Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon. And if you look a little closer, he's got that moniker of the best in the world that they carried on, like I said earlier in this video, for way too long. Look, at the very least, we got to see Roman Reigns beat up, destroy, pin, and beat the guy who has just been annoying the hell out of us, the guy that's been booking himself as being the great. Just kidding. Shane McMahon won. Swallow that one for a second. Shane McMahon in 2019 beat Roman Reigns in a one-on-one wrestling match. Look, I knew the ego was strong with the McMahons, but to title yourself the best in the world and then book yourself to beat Roman Reigns, this is just another level of I have no words right now. And yeah, the match sucked. And yeah, Roman Reigns only lost because Drew McIntyre got involved, which set up the WrestleMania match. But still, this is just, this has no business existing. There's no world, no multiverse where I should be able to say that Shane McMahon pinned Roman Reigns. No, no. The Undertaker versus Goldberg at Super Showdown. Look, I mean, it is a genuine dream match. The first time that Goldberg, the monster of WCW, is taking on The Undertaker, the monster of the WWE on paper. It is like definitely, absolutely a major dream match that quickly turned into a fever dream nightmarish match. And frankly, I know I'm in a bit of the minority here. I think that this is worse than DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. It was way shorter, but in that short amount of time, oh my God, did everything go wrong. It all started with Goldberg going for a full speed spear and bashing his head against the actual ring post and concussing himself and bleeding everywhere, which led to just the laziest rest of the match ever because Goldberg had no idea where he was. It didn't help that there was a tombstone pile driver that actually dropped Goldberg on the top of his head, and then it just led to moments like this. Goldberg doing the worst jackhammer that you could possibly envision. This is like, it's just sad. And then we had this sad moment where The Undertaker tried to pick up Goldberg for a tombstone, but Goldberg had no idea where he was, so he just flops to the ground. And then the most iconic chokeslam of all time, dude, he got like 2 feet of air that time. And then of course the famous look from The Undertaker after he wins, where I think he just knows. He just knows that he was just a part of the worst match in the history of the WWE, pretty much in back-to-back years. But hey, look, I can be a little bit forgiving here. Like, there was a major injury, but just why were these guys even having a match? Like, let's just start at the root of the problem, where Saudi Arabian shows just put together guys that had no business having marquee matches anymore. Goldberg beating The Fiend for the Universal Championship. This one hurts. In early 2020, The Fiend was the coolest thing in the world of the WWE. No, in the world of professional wrestling. It was a fresh, new, supernatural character that fans immediately gravitated and fell in love with. He was unique, he was new, and most importantly, he was scary and fucking cool, dude. And yeah, I don't think that The Fiend ever necessarily needed to be Universal Champion, but you did it. You gave him the championship, so now you have to ride or die here. And the way to ride and die, let me tell you, is not by having Goldberg squash him in 3 minutes. This is not okay. WWE had created one of the most unique, refreshing characters that they've created in a decade and a half, and you have him beaten, squashed, and the title taken from by a guy no one cared about anymore. Goldberg, great, cool, there's a spot for Goldberg. There's a neat little spot for Goldberg in the card, but it's not beating the fresh, new, young, up-and-coming, cool characters that everybody falls in love with. This one, of course, hurts more looking back with the passing of Bray Wyatt, but even then, it was, before Bray Wyatt's passing, this was, to me, the worst booking decision that the WWE had made in the better part of 12 to 15 years. Great, now I'm in a terrible mood. Go check out twitch.tv/SantiZap again if you want to watch Crown Jewel with us or any wrestling show. I'm done. Get out of here.